Good morning from New York. Today, I'll be discussing a few things. Where empathy and awareness are rare, lies and cruelty abound. Aurora has no major gang problem, and hate speech has led to murders of immigrants. We talking a few words about that, very few. And an experiential dive into practices of inner mind communication. Okay. First of all, this hate speech of the Republicans nowadays, this Trump Republican Party, has led to horrible, cruel actions against innocent immigrants. It seems that Americans in North America, uh, in the United States of North America, have forgotten that they all came from immigrants, except for the Native Americans, who no doubt would perhaps wish that we hadn't, especially with some of the things that we brought over, like the diseases that they were unprepared for, which is a big part of how this whole takeover took place. That and the automated, or shall I say, mechanically advanced warmongering that we brought. It's just shameful. Some poor fellow that was, I believe it was in Aurora. No, I don't. I can't name the city. I just heard it today. But a young, an immigrant who was trying to survive by cleaning up our waste, collecting bottles and cans and things like that, was beaten to death with a baseball bat and I believe an iron rod or something of the sort. Two men full of hate. The last thing we need to do as human beings, especially sitting on top of toys that can destroy the world, is to push hate and fear. You know, we need desperately to have a greater faith in love and a greater faith in our neighbors, you know. And hate speech and fear mongering are just the opposite of what this channel teaches and just the opposite of what humanity needs. Um, Lies. Yeah. Well, those lies wouldn't have been told had the people who told them had any empathy for other people or even themselves. Let's face it, if you can't love people who look, other human beings look just like you pretty much to, anybody who would land here from somewhere else. Yeah, you don't love yourself either, do you? The tragedy of this kind of hatefulness and all is the fact that it creates more of itself. And so we've got to put a stop to it. We've got to make sure that hate speech is not permitted in decent and dialogue between people. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater, because of the results. And you can't be spreading hate the way Trump is And with those kind of results, you can see them. It's he's increasing the mess. There are no Venezuelan, you know, huge gang problem going on in Aurora. That's just, again, exaggeration. Exaggeration is still a lie. Yeah. And taking things out of context, that's still kind of a lie. Yeah, well, the intent is there to deceive. So, what are the practices of intermind communication? Well, there are six, and each one has value in and of itself, which is, and then different effects that occur when you put them together in a time frame. To the intensity or the lack of the or lowered intensity can be achieved by carefully dosing this practice, which would be, great to have in the hands of professional trauma therapists, but they're expensive, and there's a lot for the normal average person without serious mental and physical disease. Trainer might be enough, just like maybe a psychologist would be enough, short of a psychiatrist. Yeah, you might, it saves a lot of money, and it makes things more available, and it's basically just helping people learn how to love themselves and others, and and to undo helplessness to do that. Seriously, that's something we do all the time in one way or another. You may have your way, and someone else has another. In the practice that I talk about, there's six basic approaches, which can be, modified. If you're a professional therapist, you can modify these things and tailor them perhaps better to an individual. Uh, anyway, what are they? Well, there are three role play kind of approaches in which we try to create in our imagination and express out loud. This is an out loud practice. A dialogue between that produces three forms of empathy, or practicing three forms of empathy. One is creative empathy, which means you're using creativity to love or to feel loved. Or you're using the objective empathy, which is, kind of inner counseling approach. And another, and I call them dialogues, these role plays. And another is about compassionate empathy, making it safe in the sense of making it safe to feel what you feel, which helps you to heal from damage there. People are complex, and in the case of, in many cases, I mean, even in a professional setting, the feelings of the individual trump whatever someone sitting on the wayside feels. Their feelings, number one to victory. The feelings of the individual are only truly known and, by the person feeling them. And they may have no words. And that leads to three other approaches, which are, and I'm doing an overview right now, using, in this practice, the use of emotionalized breath in order to help you express feeling, and meditative awareness of feelings and sensations as a way to focus on these things, and to be creative, to this is be playful with these things is important, and that's another practice. It takes mantra to another level, to the creation of the mantra yourself, which completely, the purpose is to dodge language and to still hang on to the emotional feelings, which puts you in touch with feelings from before you had language. And so you need to, neutralize the influence of language concepts and things, and self concepts of who you've been told you are, or who you come to believe who you are to be. Yeah. Now, the creative empathy dialogue is between that part of you that experiences the drama in your life most directly, which I call the kid. And it communicates with your inner artist. It's the mystic in you that decides to do a practice like this, and the mystic in you that takes these practices and uses them between themselves and other people, your daily life. We're all mystics. The only thing is we need to learn to be better at it, it's and use our inner mind communication for the purpose of love, right? If you're using it for something else, then it's not a good idea. So, but most people, when you think about the mystic, they're not focused on hate. They're focused on love in one form or another. So often I don't mention that it could be an evil thing. Because who would do that? But if they do, they're very sick. Um, and probably need a professional therapist. But yeah. So it's how do you practice the artist in the kid? Well, the artist in you is the imaginer of all you imagine. It's able to imagine itself outside of the drama that you're experiencing, as if from outside. And and Ruth Carter Stapleton used to do this. Jimmy Carter's little sister. She used to do this. She called it a gift of inner healing, where she would, but she would, unlike this practice, which doesn't try to focus on the negative at all, and just, if it's ready to be felt or dealt with, it'll come up on its own. But she would try to address damaged faith and love by recreating a memory and putting love in it. So, yeah, okay. Just awareness and just being outside of the whole thing is comforting, and kind of a love in itself. And that's what you get from the inner artist. Inner artist is like Ruth Carter Stapleton, only you're playing her role in this case. Um, she it would include a loving figure, which she called Jesus, into these redos of memories. Well, you redo your own memories. You know, you can. If you're a fairly healthy person, you have had contact enough with love and experience enough of it and express enough of it that you have this capacity. People who don't need a professional therapist, okay, and some others in some cases. So keep your mind open. Um, it's like exercise. You can do it too much. You can do it too little. You can do the wrong kind or take the wrong approach to it. So never hurts to get a little extra advice. But this is pretty safe, and you're only doing what comforts you. Your whole aim is to comfort yourself, not to dig into yourself. Feelings and things that need to be approached will rise on their own. When it's time, maybe in your dreams. A lot of healing can occur in dreams, and slowly over time sometimes. Not necessarily one big outburst, which some have aimed for. But yeah, so you're talking to a part of yourself that enjoys your whole story, even if it's horrific, the way you would enjoy a movie from outside. And it's outside, it would give you a sense of empowerment and some comfort, you know, because you're outside. That's what happens in your death experiences. You know, you move outside of the drum and try to get a picture, and I won't go into anything else that happens there. That's up to your belief, your chosen belief about that. That's fine. But there is a rational reason for why that would be experienced at near death. But that's a role. Now, this imaginer of all you imagine is also the imaginer of how you see reality. And how you see reality is filtered through this imaginer of all you imagine, which sometimes I say, well, isn't that your brain? So there's this weird thing where we sense that the brain is the real us, you know, and I believe that's how we get these notions of a higher power, like the inner artist, is that, well, we put a human face on it and recognize its power over our lives. But there's a dialogue that can be had. And when you start to get that, you're, you're entering into the realm of the mystic. In fact, the way to enter in to the practice might be, for some people, by starting with the inner artist or having someone play that role for them in case of professional therapy, right? Okay. Now, when you've got, when you need to create compassionate empathy, um, that is kind of could be described as a part of you that's having the dramatic experience communicating with the part of you that is caregiving, trying to give a sense, they give you a sense of safety to feel. And that means a part of you that helps the love flow, that helps you to feel and express the love. And so from that approach, well, how do you do it? Well, you talk to people who are important to you, people that should have loved you and perhaps didn't, or perhaps did, and people that you should have loved and perhaps you did, and perhaps you didn't. You talk to important people. That's all you got to do, and you do it in a loving way, no judgment. Now, the other approach that helps with creating objective empathy is to be your own inner counselor. And you can do this in conjunction with professional therapy. Sure, all of these things can be. So it can be an add-on for those who can't do it, on their own or with just a trainer. But you're just talking, picture yourself 6 years old, still language oriented. This dramatic self is in touch with language. It's important to note. And it has a communication with the adult in you, the more objective you. And that's how you can imagine it. So it's kind of like little you talking to big you. And this has been done before. This has been done with people with serious mental illness to great effect, just on its own. That gives a distance between oneself and negative feelings in an objective kind of way. So, I mean, and if you're talking to your inner counselor, it's focused on the present, looking forward, but you can refer back to and talk about things in the past as things in the past, your experiences and how you're dealing with life now and what you should do in the future, counsel yourself. And with compassionate empathy, of course, no, it's more because it's the compassionate empathy draws out feeling. Those feelings can be in the present or in the past. Tend to be more present in past. So you're seeing a timeline there where the dramatic self, which is pictured in your mind by the inner artist, with your picture of caregiving and your counseling. All right. Now let's move into the 6 practices that are useful to dealing with your perspectives without language and a self-concept. I call it the infant mind. So it's the infant child in you without language, but still has feelings and emotions. So how do you get to those? Just the awareness of those is comforting because it gives you power over it. Remember, the whole problem with trauma is that you were helpless to give or receive love because of the trauma. So what you can do, and that doesn't make it like it never happened, but it can undo the helplessness to give and receive love, and to do it well with various skills which you can learn. In the infant mind, we have the basis of what the child mind benefits from. The development of compassionate empathy began with expression of feeling. And then in the social context, of course, you want to help people do that, and that's compassion, sensitivity. Um, so the expression of feeling and need and sensation, yeah, important. We do that with the breath. You breathe in, you breathe out. Ah, ooh, are possible sounds that you could make to avoid language and still express feeling. Some can do it on the in breath and the out breath. Some can only do it on the out breath. It's fine. The out breath is good enough. Oh, just express how you're feeling. You're not going, you know, you're not going for any changes here. If you're going for changes, that's the skill of play, which still exists and is the foundation for the later development of creativity. Play is playfulness, and it's like the creativity is like creating play, you know, changing it into football and something we think is useful, a different perspective. It's more intentional. But playfulness, you see that in little babies. You know, they react and, you know, giggle, you know, whatever. So, but to reach that playfulness with feeling and how you're feeling and sensations that are coming up, get in touch with that um, in a playful way is good. And you can do it at the same time you're negating the impact of language on that process, which also gets you out of these ego concepts and all of this. It's a little bit of an improvement on just a chant, which can work to some degree. You can, you know, say something over and over until it's meaningless, even though it's language based. Well, why do that? Just create the sounds yourself. You can say them or you can sing them in ways that help you to express how you feel. Like someone might, who knows how to play an instrument, might do with a fiddle or a piano. You can do that with your own voice. You know, it's a musical instrument that you can attach to very easily. You can be very playful with it, you know. See, it's all about self-comfort, and so whatever comforts you, and that could be expression of a negative feeling, because it gives you power over it if you're aware of it when you express it. And that power is a kind of comfort. So whatever you need to express something negative or positive, then, you know, do it, you know, with any of these pre-verbal approaches or the, you know, the verbal, the language approaches. Whatever floats your boat, keeps you in a good way, or helps to heal damaged faith and love. So that's very helpful. You can, you know, not sing it. You can just create sounds, which sounds a lot like the Pentecostals with, without the religion. And don't bet on this being a real language. You know? Anyway, get up to it tonight and die. So, God, no. That's a good way to curse too. So people don't exactly know what you're saying. But this is this is a practice for yourself. You know, you're not doing this in public. Okay. I'm not saying that you. But there are creative people who will find ways to do these things that will probably blow all of our minds. But more power to them, I guess. Another of the infant mind practices is just the focus from which objectivity arose in social situations, and the development of language goes along with that. So, yeah, you hear teachers saying, are you paying attention? You know, pay attention, Johnny. Sheila, Kamika, pay attention. Okay. So you're focusing, and that's all you're doing. You're just focusing on, I don't know, what condition your condition is in. You're just focusing on it, paying attention to it. And this can be really helpful if you're dealing with uncomfortable sorts of feelings. The more you focus on them, the more power you have over it, the less it generates anxiety, which can lessen the impact of the painfulness. But still go see a doctor. Okay, there's a reason you're in pain. But you can help. You can help with discomfort that way. Sounds counterintuitive, but it works. Um, Paying attention to, for a set time on like a sore knee or something, and you start to unravel all of the sensations that combine to give you this feeling. Um, and yeah, you can also um, focus in ways that might make you feel better. Like if you're feeling too hot, focus on feelings of coolness. So you can do that. So these are the 6 techniques, all of which can be used independently. Their power increases as you put them together. Even in the case of just the one technique of focus, which most people call meditation of some kind, that focus is empowering. Something distracted my mind, and I'm old. I feel you, Joe. Anyway, where was I? Let's see, I was focusing on, oh yeah, if you focus on the broad spectrum of all of the feelings that you're feeling at once, all the conditions that your condition is in, that can have a different impact. And yeah, you just play with it, see what happens. But all of these practices, you do them as you feel the need. The more you practice it is like the more you do exercise. The more you do it, the more you want to do it. But especially in the beginning, it's something you know you should do, and but it's put it this way: it's something you like to have done, but you don't like to do. It's just, but the more you do it, the more you want to do it, because you learn that there are results. And be patient with yourself. When should you not be pushing it? This kind of thing. Well, when you rushing to a point of self-punishment, that's wrong. You're overloading yourself. That's remorse comes naturally after a pattern. You feel what happened to you, so you know what you lost. That means they're actually a loss today. You grieve that, you let it go, then you're more forgiving. The more forgiving you are, the more you can feel for the remorse for what you've done. And if you don't start from the end and work back, that isn't usually what you need to do. And it's harsher, and it's a punishing kind of attitude, usually generated by someone who doesn't like you. But no, don't do that. So, no self punishment at all, ever. And rushing to, trying to rush through the steps. And, like I say, the remorse comes along naturally. These steps come along, just naturally, to deeper and deeper degree. And that's how you know you're getting better. And the wonderful thing about remorse is that you realize you're not that person anymore. If you're stuck in the remorse, then you're pushing too hard. You're thinking you're still that person. And maybe you are, because you haven't gone through these steps. And you're not going to get better by being afraid or angry or punishing. Just keep loving and opening yourself to being loved. And do that in your daily life. I think this is a good point to wrap this up. And bless your hearts. It's a tough world. I hope that this can help you. And as it does, remember, vote, support democracy, and realize that it makes you a progressive person into real progress in terms of love and being loved. Loving and being loved sums it up. And the realizations you have along the way are amazing. And some report paranormal types of experiences, but don't pay attention to that. That's it's just a symptom that may happen, and maybe it's beneficial at points. But don't focus on that. That bad road that make you less objective. Remember, the ones who handle mystery the best are probably scientists. That's off to Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, and all the great scientists out there. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm through summing up. Have a good experience out there. Have a great experience. Your friends will be happy about it, and maybe your enemies will learn to change. And the road of love rise to meet you.